Hello, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Mompreneurs to Millionaires. So glad you're here. Give me a little wave or a thumbs up if you're here. Today we are talking about money blocks. Woo, this is always a vulnerable session. So stick around, buckle in. Hopefully you'll get some nuggets from today, but I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm always curious how people are feeling about money, how people are feeling about money blocks, because I think it is directly related to your sales. However you're feeling about money, if you feel like there are certain things that are holding you back, if you're afraid of being salesy, right? Those are all parts of, I think, what is holding you back from making more money. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to share with you what I think are the 3 common biggest money blocks that I myself have struggled with, and I know my clients have too. And then I'm going to share 4 ways that I have helped overcome my money blocks and that have helped my clients, because I think this is something that comes up every time you want to reach a new level, right? Every time you have achieved your money goals, then there is a space where you are vulnerable, right? When you're ready to create a new level, when you're ready to create more money, more income, there's always that pushback, I think, from our inner self that is like afraid, and a little bit of our safe ego is coming in to keep us safe. And I think that's when our money blocks keep coming back. It is ingrained in us, and it is always something that I think is a challenge to overcome. So that's why I think it's really helpful to have a few tools in our toolbox that we can always come back to. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is kind of the 3 money blocks as well as ways to overcome them or to start. And I say that with a giant disclaimer, right? Please know I am not a financial advisor. I am not a professional financial person. If you at all are struggling with finances and you are ready to make some finance decisions, do not use this video. Please talk to a financial professional. This video is for educational and inspirational purposes only. We are here to talk about ideas. We are here to share our thoughts and our inspiration. So definitely, if you are wanting some more financial advice, definitely seek a professional. That is not what we are doing here. This is educational and inspirational. All right, so with that out of the way, I would love to hear, let me know if you're watching on the live. Just say live below, or let me know if you're watching on the replay. I'd love to know who's coming in the day of and who's coming in afterwards. Awesome, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right, so I always love talking about money blocks with my clients. To me, like I said, it is directly related to your sales. If you feel like you are struggling with any mindset or sales strategies or lead strategy, or even a little bit of tech on the back end, I especially think one-on-one coaching is great for all of those pieces. I love working with my clients on all of that, as well as accountability. To me, having that one-on-one person, cheerleader, accountability partner, motivator, and helping you figure out what to focus on each and every day, each and every week, having weekly goals and action items, to me, that is the easiest way to move your business forward. If you are at all stuck and feel like you could just use some strategy, someone to help you figure out where to get the most bang for your buck, right? If you feel like you've been spinning your wheels, posting and hoping, of course, I love chatting about a better lead strategy, because I don't think content converts. I think relationships are what converts. I think so many entrepreneurs are spinning their wheels, stuck in a posting and hoping cycle. I know I was for years. So if you're at all interested in just getting more strategy, say strategy below. Also, I'd love to tell you about our new school community. I just opened. It is called the Implementation Lab. So this is where we get stuff done, right? So I am so excited. I'd love to have you over in the Implementation Lab. It is called the Leads Growth Collective. We focus on growing our leads every single day, and an implementation small task that you can do every day, as well as we have weekly live coaching and a monthly bingo card and some other fun ways for us all to stay accountable. So if you're all interested, just say lab below and I'll make sure you get all the details. You get your first free week, and then the founding member pricing is going on right now, so definitely lock in the founding member price before it goes up soon. So excited to have you over there. It's a great place to get a taste for me, get a taste for live coaching, get some strategy, get some action, but actually start implementing it, right? You don't need another strategy. You don't need more information. You've probably downloaded all the courses, all the free material in the world, right? It is about implementing for your specific business. And that's where you're going to get that customized approach with that weekly Q&A coaching. So I'd love to have you over there. Just say lab below if you're interested. But real quick, thank you so much to everyone who voted. Every week I put out a poll inside my group where we get to vote on what topics would be most helpful to your business. So I would love to hear. You can always drop a topic below if you feel like, gosh, if I just knew a little bit more information on this, I would love, that could really help move my business forward. I didn't mention AI, but AI, right, is such a huge part of our businesses these days. If you feel like you have questions on AI, I'm really excited to be putting into the school some of my new AI tools. So they are going to be exclusive to the school community, where it is kind of a plug and play. You get to put in your information and it spits out some really important data for you. So those are some exciting things that are happening over there. But if you have any questions on overall business topics that you would like me to address here in these weekly lives, I would love to hear what would help you in your business right now, right? That's what I want to address. So with that, I know you're a go-getter, right? You are here, you're wanting some little nugget, some little helpful tips that's going to move your business forward. So because you are so resourceful, right? You are in this idea that if I just download a little bit more, I can do it, I can figure it out myself, right? And I just want to, right, give you a little piece of mindset that you are not meant to do this alone, right? Stay in your lane of genius, right? Your lane of genius may not be to market your business. Your zone of genius may not be to get leads, right? Your zone of genius is in your business, and I want you to stay there. So if you feel like you are not spending enough time in your zone of genius and you're like, oh my God, how do I figure out this marketing, right? That is where you can really learn from the people who've gone before you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Just because you are resourceful, I know you could do it yourself. I don't want you to take as long as I did, right? I spent 16 years trial and erroring, figuring this out. I don't want you to waste years like I did, right? Fast track your business, get to the roadmap, let's get things done. Come on over to the lab. All right, so with that, I invite you to put on an abundance crown, right? We're talking about money blocks today, so I really invite you to think about abundance. I would love to hear below, what does abundance mean to you, right? Tell me below, what does abundance mean to you? To me, abundance means that all things are possible, right? Everything is possible. The world is full. Nature is abundant. The world is abundant. Money is abundant. But you have the power, right? It is up to you. You have the power to change. So I invite you to put on an abundance crown. I like to call it a crown because you are a goddess. Every woman is a goddess within. You have far more power, right? So many of us have forgotten our power. You have far more power than you think, right? You absolutely can take your power back and make moves in your business today. So I'm really excited that you're here, but put on this crown. And with that, I invite you to write down 2 action items. So I don't just want you to listen to this video, take it, in one ear, out the other. I would love for you to write down 2 action items, whether this is an aha moment, whether this is an actual action item, or a way that you thought about things differently. I would love to hear 2 action items that you get from today, or 2 pieces of advice that you get from today's video that you're going to think about, incorporate, change. That is what it's about. That is how you are going to make new action and new results, right? Is making a little bit of change, whether it's a little bit of a mindset shift, a little bit of some money moves, a little bit of a change, right? That is how you are going to change your reality. That is how you're going to change your business and move things forward, is by making change and those aligned action pieces, right? That is really where you're going to make the biggest moves. So write down 2 action items. I'd love to hear them below, or you can always message me, of course. Awesome. So I always like to leave you too, right, with a little bit, I like to touch on fear, right? Fear is definitely keeping you small. I'm sure many of you have heard this. I think your ego is always there when you're trying to up level. Your ego is always there to keep you safe in the familiar, right? Fear is always trying to kind of keep you small. And you are not here to play small, you are here to play big. So just recognizing that fear, I think, is the first step. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, because I think money blocks are directly related to fear, right? Tell me below what you feel like, if you feel like money blocks are related to fear. I would love to hear. All right. So a quick background about me, if you don't know, if we haven't had the pleasure, my name is Christina. I love talking about my entrepreneurial journey very quickly. I started my first little Etsy shop back in 2010, and that is when I realized the internet is ginormous. You cannot just set up shop, you cannot just build it, and people will come, right? That's been the biggest lesson that I have learned time and time again. What I found on Etsy shop, with that Etsy shop, what I found is other Etsy shop owners were in Facebook groups. And that was the easiest way for us all to learn from each other, grow with each other, and buy from each other, right? That was the best place to support each other. and grow that Etsy shop. So that was really helpful back then. In 2014, my husband and I opened a little bike shop, coffee shop, a brick and mortar. Oh my gosh, tell me below, brick and mortar. Oh my God, it is such a whole different animal, right? We of course didn't know what we were doing, but we made a lot of things successful. Unfortunately, we were only open for a couple years, but again, smacked in the face with that lesson. You cannot just set up shop. You cannot just open a store and expect people to come, right? You can't just build it and people will come. You have to go to them. You have to find a way. You have far more power than that. You cannot just wait and hope, right? You cannot just post, set up a profile, set up a website and hope and wait, right? You have far more power than that. Take your power back. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, some action that you can take and take your power back. So at that bike shop, what we did create that was really successful was a Facebook group. So we created a Facebook group to hold events. We needed to get people in our doors, go on bike rides, have after hours events. That was really successful. What is such a testament to the idea of a Facebook group community is that here we are, we closed the bike shop in 2016. 10 years later, there are still people getting together under that bike shop that we created, under that Facebook group, going on bike rides to this day. Is that not crazy? To me, that is such a testament to the idea that people want to feel heard, they want to be seen, and they want to belong, right? Especially they feel loyal when they've joined something from the beginning, right? They get to watch you grow, they get to be a loyal supporter. That is what you want to surround yourself with. To me, that is the easiest way to grow your business, is get a community of loyal supporters around you, not only cheering you on, you get to cheer them on, and they get to feel seen and heard and feel like they belong, a part of something. They get to be a part of this journey, right? And I think that's really, I think that's how people are going to buy. They need to feel seen and be able to relate to you, right? So I often talk a lot about content that to me it's relationships, right? Not content. Content to me is not converting. If you feel like you are stuck in a tell them, often I say entrepreneurs are stuck in a teaching. We all are probably teachers at heart. We tell them, right? And it is really hard, I think, for other people to see themselves in your telling them content. So I always encourage you to ask them. That is how your audience is going to feel seen, right? Ask them questions. That is how they are going to feel seen, be heard, and feel like they belong, right? So those are always my two quick little ideas. But I love the idea of a Facebook group. To me, it is the easiest sales funnel, the easiest way to get people into your world and to build that community. So to me, that is the best sales funnel to trigger those conversations and then take them through your sales process. So wouldn't it be great to wake up to a bunch of yeses, right? That's what I always love to say. So if you are at all interested, we are talking all about this over in the implementation lab. Just say lab below. But if you're interested, if you have a Facebook group or thought about starting one, that's a great place to get started. All right, so what we learned at the bike shop, right, was that Facebook community was such an important part. And I think bigger than all of that, right, was really our money blocks around what happened at the bike shop, right? When sadly, after 2 years, we had to shut the bike shop, it felt like such, of course, a failure. We had invested so much money, so much of our effort, friends' money, family money, right? We had invested so much. And so to let that go felt huge, right? I always say failure is never failure. It's really about learning, right? What can you take away from the pieces that were broken? What can you take away from those lessons to move forward, right? And so what I really love about the bike shop is I love that it happened. And I'm so glad that it failed, right? Because I learned so much. It was not the right place for our family. We had little kids at the time, right? It all ended up working out. And I get to be so much more passionate about what I do now, is helping other women business owners. That's what I felt like at the bike shop. I was on an island by myself, right? And that is just simply not true. There are so many other, especially women business owners, who feel similar, that they feel like they're on an island. Nobody understands my particular business, my schedule, my kids, my husband, my situation, right? And it's true, nobody has exactly your situation and your life experience, but that is how we can rally together. To me, my big mission in life is that we all rise together, right? We can learn from each other, grow together, learn resources, share access, and that is how we are going to rise together. That's my big motto in life, we rise together. So I'm so glad you're here. So with that, right, because of all of that kind of quote unquote failure at the bike shop, right, I really had to dig deep and figure out what this looks like in the future. Because if you've ever, right, lost a business, failed at something, I think that evidence is hardwired in your brain. And so you were automatically thinking that that could happen again. So to me, that is especially important when thinking about fear and thinking about your past experiences and what that means. Even if you feel like you've on the surface learned lessons, right? Feel better about it. I'm glad the bike shop didn't work out, right? But I know that every time I try to up level, there's a little part of me that is like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? Right? And I think that's true for most people. We're always worried about what if this doesn't work out. So I would invite you to think about, have you heard of this? I just learned about this. BTFAR. BTFAR. Your beliefs lead to your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. Your feelings are what you take action on. And your actions lead to your results. So BTFAR, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, action, results. So if you can imagine, if you change your beliefs and really believe them and work on believing them and changing those beliefs, you can change your thoughts, feelings, action, and ultimately those results, right? So to me, I think that's a really important acronym to keep in mind, BTFAR. So that is what we are really talking about here today, is that your beliefs about money, your beliefs about failure, your beliefs about worry, about the future, about the past, and how that is all related is leading to your results, is directly related to your results. Because without thinking about it, your beliefs are causing, right, are interpreting and are influencing your thoughts and your feelings. And if you're not aware of all of that process, right, it just takes on its own life, right? And you don't even realize that it's happening. So it's really, I think the first step is obviously being aware of all of that process of what beliefs you've been telling yourself. And this shows up in stories, right? Stories that we've been telling ourselves. Those are the beliefs that we think are true. And so the biggest takeaway today is ask yourself, is it true, right? To me, that is the biggest part of Money Blocks, is really looking deep within and thinking, is this really true, or is this an old pattern that I just keep repeating, that I keep thinking that is going to happen, and so then it happens, right? So these are the three biggest money blocks that I think trip so many women up, right? These are the three biggest money blocks that most women, I think, run up against. And they come in different forms, right? One form or another. The first one, I think, is we often feel it is bad to be rich. Tell me below if you think it is bad or greedy to be rich. I think we get this message everywhere, right? We get this message in movies. We get this message in society. We get this message a lot that to be rich, we just assume things about them, right? Most movies have the richest person as not a great person, especially if they're a woman, right? She has to learn some hard lesson before she has to lose all her money. She has to learn a hard lesson in order to be nice or in order to be liked. So we definitely, I think, have this story told time and time again that it is bad to be rich. I heard this in the form of yuppies, right? I don't know if you guys have parents of the same age, but I definitely heard that yuppies were bad growing up. Tell me below if your parents talked about yuppies. I think that was a culture thing back then, right? That it was bad to be a yuppie, right? Or that a yuppie was someone who had money and was not nice. It's definitely a message I heard a lot. And I just want to, again, push back with, is this true? Really think about, do you know people in your life that have money who are doing good things? Absolutely, right? Is every rich person bad? Absolutely not. Are there bad rich people? For sure, right? Are there good rich people? Absolutely, right? You get to decide. Just because you have more money does not automatically make you bad, right? I often hear this, that more money is just an extension of who you are now, is going to amplify. Money is an amplifier, right? Money is going to amplify whatever you are right now. So if you are a good person and you have a good heart and good intentions, I always say more money in the hands of good women can do way more good in the world, right? That is what it's about. You need resources to reach an impact, to have more influence on people in the world, so you can give back and you can have more influence, right? To me, that is about having resources, right? You need to feel comfortable. You need to have the resources to support your own life as well as be able to support others, right? Before you can support others, really, right? So I definitely believe that you can be a good person and be rich, right? That is it. That is the goal. So definitely ask yourself, if you're asking that, is it true? Is this really true? And give yourself examples of good women doing good things in this world, right? And good men, right? We like to talk about men occasionally. All right, so tell me below if that resonates. Number two, this is such a big one, and I don't know if one or two is bigger, right? Number two is there is never enough, right? Tell me below if you feel like there is never enough money. I hear this so much, right? Because automatically, every time we feel like, oh, we're getting comfortable, boom, there's a bill. Oh, we're getting comfortable. Oh, something happens with the car. Oh, something happens with the roof, right? AC, blah, blah, blah. All the things that we are worried about, right? It always feels like there's evidence that anytime we get a little extra money, there's always some big bill to pay. There's never enough. There's always something to buy, always something to pay for, right? I think that is such a mindset shift. And this is true lack mentality, right? And I think it's so easy to fall in this trap because especially as people are talking about, right, whether it's the economy, whether it's the slow season, whatever that is. And I always like to push back and say, what if excess is okay, right? What if it's safe to have excess? What if it's true to have excess? And there are people making money in every economy, in every slow season, right? I look at all the cars and abundance and, right, whether they're putting things on credit cards, you know, who knows? We don't know the interworkings of everybody's life, but at the same time, there are people spending and earning money every single day. There's so much money in the world, right? There's so much money in the circulation, right? There's never been this much money in circulation. There is an abundance. There is plenty. There is plenty for you. There's no reason that you can't have it, right? So I just encourage you every time you think, am I asking myself, oh, is this my ego keeping me safe? Is this my fear saying, what if there isn't enough? Oh gosh, I shouldn't spend on that. What if there isn't enough, right? And to me, that is definitely a mentality and a shift, and it's hard, right? So again, we're going to talk about kind of the 4 ways to help overcome some of this, but it's definitely hard. So what if excess is okay, right? Really ask yourself, what if there is excess? And there is evidence, right? There is evidence of excess. You see it everywhere in the world. So definitely ask yourself that. So the third most common money block I see, especially with women, is it is bad to spend and you are bad at money, right? It could look like one or both of those things, right? I think so many women think that they are bad at money, bad at sales, right? I hear this a lot. Oh, I'm just not a salesperson. I get that, but if you're in business, you better figure out how to be a salesperson, right? And I always say there's an aligned place for every woman to feel good about sales. Sales doesn't have to be a dirty word, right? There's an aligned place for every woman to talk about her business in a way that feels like serving your clients. People need your service exactly right now, exactly as you are, right? Not in the future when you find everything and perfect it. People need your message exactly as you are right now because you are a few steps ahead of the people that need to hear your message from your unique experience, your perspective, your life situation, right? People need to hear from you right now. So, and if you don't, you are doing them a disservice, right? That's what I always say. If you are not reaching the people that need you, you are doing them a disservice. So you need to serve your people, right? So if you feel like it is bad to spend, or you are bad at money, or you're bad at sales, right? I invite you to, again, push back on any of those beliefs that come up, because I guarantee there is evidence that you are good at money, it is okay to spend, and you are good at sales, right? So look for evidence. What I always like to push back on too is so often we see evidence of, oh, I didn't save enough for this. I didn't pay this right away, or, oh, I can't afford that, or whatever, right? I feel like so much, and I think it's in our culture, it's in money books. I am very careful with my money books because I think there is so much lack mentality built into the money industry, into most every money book. So I really encourage you to be discerning, right? Be discerning with what information you allow into your world. But I definitely encourage you to push back on the thought that spending is bad, because if we are so tight with our money, right, we are not in the flow, right? If we are so tight with, well, I don't want to spend, then how on earth are you going to receive, right? If you don't want to spend, it's going to be, I think, harder to receive. And if you don't want to spend, that is a lack mentality. You are afraid there isn't going to be enough, right? If you're worried about spending, that is directly related to there isn't enough. I can't spend because there's not going to be enough. What if there is going to be enough, right? What if there's so much money in the world. There's so much abundance. So to allow that receiving to happen, I think is to be open to spending. Now, again, of course, be smart, right? This is not financial advice. I'm not saying spend all of your dollars, but I also think it's okay to have a latte occasionally, right? I think it's okay to go out to dinner. I think it's okay to enjoy your money, right? I don't think you need to spend all your money or live on credit cards by any means, but I don't think holding your money hostage or being afraid to spend is the answer either, right? So maybe somewhere in between, whatever feels good to you. But if you catch yourself saying, oh, I can't spend, I can't afford that, I can't spend on that, right? Definitely ask yourself, is that something you value? Do you want to spend money on that? And if you spend money on that, is that putting the right energy into the universe so that you will receive? And what if you do, right? What if you receive that back tenfold? What if you thought about it like that, right? So I think that's a great way to think about spending, because so much advice out there is, oh, you've got to save pennies, right? And here's something that is always aggravating. Have you noticed articles or even advertisements on the internet, whenever they talk about wealth or legacy, or it's usually directed towards men. So when they are talking to men, they are talking about legacy, wealth, luxury. It's usually gold and black, and some things are kind of changing, but I think traditional articles and traditional magazines towards men in business, men in wealth, it's luxury, it's growth, it's wealth, right? Whereas for women, most articles that are talking about money for women, it's about saving on groceries, pinching pennies, cutting coupons. It's cute, it's pink, it's small, right? And I think that is really, really frustrating. So it's not your fault, right? All of these beliefs are not your fault. They have been passed down for generations. It is in our society. You see it every single day. It's in our movies. All of these things are not your fault, right? It is about being aware of how it's affecting your life in order to change your beliefs that ultimately change your results, right? So to me, that is the biggest step, is to just be aware of these thought patterns that are creeping up and keeping you small. So that's the third one, is really, I think, if you feel like it's bad to spend, or if you feel like you are bad at sales, right? Because I guarantee there is evidence that you have kept the water running, kept a roof over your head, kept the kids fed, sent the kids to Little League, right? There's evidence that you have been able to prioritize and manage money. So even just saying, well, I'm bad at money because there's never enough, right? Those two things are related. And there's definitely evidence that you have kept things juggled, and right, you have kept things in the air, and you've kept things prioritized, and you've kept things running, right? You run your household up to this point, right? So all of that has gotten you here. So there's nothing wrong with all of that, but it is about being able to change those thought patterns so that we can welcome more wealth and more abundance into our life. Because I think these money patterns and money blocks are limiting. They're limiting us, right? I think they're limiting those results. That's what I believe. So I'd love to hear if that resonates with you. All right, so now into the 4 ways to overcome, right? So these are 4 easy ways. Again, there are lots of money mentors and great experts out there. I always want you to be very careful with, again, what kind of energy you allow into your world. So if you're looking to work with a money mentor coach, if you're looking for a money coach, I definitely encourage you to seek someone who has the same beliefs as you, right? And I would definitely encourage you to think about making sure that it's going to fit your lifestyle. Just because they are the expert does not mean that they get to dictate your beliefs, right? If they are pushing down certain beliefs that you don't agree with or don't feel aligned with you, right? I would definitely encourage you to push back a little bit, because again, I don't think spending is bad. I don't think you're bad at sales. I don't think any of that is true, right? I think there's plenty of money in the world to be had. And I don't think being rich is bad. So it's not bad to be greedy. It's not bad to want more, right? Money in the hands of good women can do more good in the world. So it's okay to want more. So these are, I encourage you, right? If you really, if you are moved to work with a money coach, there are lots of money coaches certainly in our community. Feel free to reach out to one of them. But here are some 4 easy ways to start, right? Again, we talked about tools in the toolbox to start thinking about your money blocks and to start thinking about things differently. If you want new results in your world, if you want more money in your world, some things are going to have to change, right? Your current situation has gotten you this far. If you want to change, it may take a little bit of stepping out of your comfort zone and changing those beliefs, right? Again, welcoming change. It is up to you. No one is coming to save your business. No one is coming to save your finances. It is up to you. So with that, here are the 4, I think, first steps to starting to figure this out, right? Starting to overcome and think about money differently. The first one for me is books. To me, I have read so many amazing books. And again, I said I'm very careful with if I start feeling like a book is especially a money book, is telling me things that are a little bit more of a lack mentality, right? I started reading this book that it was all about the mistakes that people make. I get it. There are mistakes that people make, but it was almost like an end all, like, oh, don't do that because they're stuck forever. Right? And I just don't believe that. I don't think anything is a failure. I think you learn and you grow and you can always make a new decision. You can always make more money, right? There's money in the universe. There's plenty. There's plenty. That's what abundance is all about. Okay. So books, to me, that is the number one thing that has changed my life and changed my money mindset dramatically is books. Find a guru, find an author, find a book from a friend that recommends it. We've read lots of money books over in book club. If you're at all interested in book club, just say book club. We always read personal development, professional development books. And I love reading money books because I think they are so profound. Again, because I think they are directly related to your sales, directly related to your business. How you feel about money is affecting how much you earn. That's what I believe. All right, so books is number 1 for sure. I'd love to hear any book recommendations that you guys have read, any money books that really helped and changed your mindset. I'd love to hear that. All right, number 2, this has been, I think, the best thing that has helped my business is to meditate, right? So now tell me below how you feel about meditation. If you're new to it, right, I would love to hear that. If you're a veteran to meditation, I'd love to hear what your favorite type is. To me, there's so much meditation and there's so much expectations. To me, I try to release all expectations of what meditation should be for you. It is exactly any way you meditate is not wrong. Whatever way you start with 5 minutes, whether it's just being calm. You don't have to call it meditation if you feel weird about those words, if you have certain connotations about that. Figure out what works for you, because to me, the whole idea is to quiet your senses, quiet your mind, and listen to your body. That is where you are going to problem solve. That is where you are going to be able to get in touch with your higher self. That is where you are going to figure out what it is you really want and what the problem really is and what some of these deeper beliefs are, where they're coming from and what they are and how they are affecting you. To me, that is where your intuition is going to be heard, is in those quiet moments, and that is where the problems will be solved. That's what I love about meditation. I think that's where you get creative. That's where you get new ideas. That's where you get inspired. That is where you're going to solve some problems, right? So getting quiet and feeling better. That is the goal, right? It is not about getting to some end result and reaching that goal, because there's always going to be another goal, right? And so the point is feeling the journey, feeling good in the journey. So to me, that is what meditation is so helpful with, is feeling good now, because you've got to feel good now in order to feel good when there is more money, when there is less money. You need to feel good regardless, right? So that's one of the tools that I think is super helpful, meditation. The third one I think is affirmation, right? Tell me below if you have a favorite affirmation. Affirmations are only effective if you feel them, right? You really have to be able to feel. And if it's something that doesn't feel quite right, that it's too hard to believe, then I would take it a little step down, right? So if you're like, I am a millionaire, and that doesn't quite feel like your current situation, right? So maybe take it a step down and say, I can't wait to be a millionaire, right? That would be a great first step. Or really believing those affirmations, and this is the point of affirmations, is repetitive. So what are some things, and I think an even better affirmation is if you can replace some of those old stories that you tell yourself. So if you catch yourself saying, I'm bad at sales, right, in the back of your mind, or if you even say this in networking, when you're talking to a marketing person, right, I hear this an awful lot, well, I'm just not good at sales. You are good at sales, and you better get good at sales. If you want more sales, you better get good at sales, right? So start with an affirmation that feels good, though. If you're like, I don't want to sell, think about your business and think about, okay, what does that word really mean to me? Could I change some type of affirmation to, I can't wait to serve my clients. I want to help more people. I want to impact more people, right? To me, that is a better way of helping you feel better about sales. Sales is not a dirty word, right? Most businesses, every business requires sales. So definitely be thinking about some affirmations that can be kind of that link or that bridge, right? To get you where you want to be. Because I think the biggest thing is you have to believe something before you will become it, right? You have to be that millionaire before you will become a millionaire. So I definitely believe that is true. So that was affirmations. And the fourth one, I think, is journaling, right? Tell me below if you are a journaler. I would love to hear that. There are some really great journal prompts, I think, in this community. There are certainly some in my printable library. If you're in my printable, if you don't have access to my printable library, just say library below and I'll make sure you get that. But there are some journal prompts there. To me, I think journaling it out, you don't have to have a prompt, right? Even just putting out your words, telling your money stories. One trick that I learned along the way that I think is really helpful is to just write a long list of weird money situations. Any situation throughout your life that made you feel a little bit funny about money, right? So even for me, even if it's just a strange, like, I'm not even sure what that was. So whether it's like a struggle to pay for, like if you're going out to dinner with friends and you're like, oh, who should pay? Oh, I feel weird. Right? Write that down. Write it down. Write down any weird money situations where like you felt like your friends, right, thought that you were being greedy, or you thought a friend was being greedy, or right, any of these situations that made you feel weird about money. Then going back in with a highlight. I like to highlight that story or that line, highlight that situation and really think about it and say these 4 things. You've probably heard this, right? Say these 4 things. Thank you. I forgive you. I love you. And what's the 4th one? I forgot the 4th one. But definitely think about thank you. I love you. I forgive you, right? Because I think that's really important to really be thinking about how to change that story, right? To really be so grateful. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's the other one, right? I'm so sorry this happened, or I'm sorry I felt this way about it, or whatever it is, right? Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. I forgive you. Those are the 4 ones. It's easy to forget. But right, just being whatever that makes you feel, right? Like to be able to let that story go. So to me, that is one of the more helpful exercises to really think about. Okay, so I think that is it. I've talked long enough. I would love to hear what stood out for you. Tell me 2 things below that stood out to you in today's talk. Are you going to make any changes with either some of these 4 steps to overcoming money blocks, or even which money blocks stood out to you the most? I would love to hear below. And how you're going to think about it differently, right? Are you going to ask yourself, is it true? Are you going to look for evidence that it is not true, right? Or evidence of the opposite of that, right? That would be my suggestion. All right, if you're at all looking for some implementation help, again, just say lab below. My new school community, I'm so excited. You get it free for a week, and then it is founding member prices until they go up. So I would love to have you in the school community. We are implementing every single day. This is where we get stuff done. There'll be daily implementation goals that you can participate in, or we have like a monthly bingo card. You could just take one little, when you have time, you can take one little task off your bingo card. There are obviously some workshops and videos in there and resources. I'm including all of my new AI tools so that you can use those as like a plug and play to really make some moves and get some insight in your business, but know exactly what you need to do in order to move your business forward. It is not about learning a new strategy. It is about actually implementing. So our next weekly live coaching is coming up every Friday. So this Friday, if you want to get in on your first week is free. I'd love to have you over there. Just say lab below. This is the Leads Growth Collective. It's called the Implementation Lab. It is where we are getting stuff done. So that is it for Money Blocks. Again, tell me any questions that you have or what stood out to you. I would love to hear. You can always private message me as well. Thanks so much for sticking around. We'll see you.